Hey guys, this is my Norin the Wary EDH deck. Norin is a 1 mana 2/1 legendary creature. Seems pretty good until you read the ability. Whenever a player casts a spell or a creature attacks, exile Norin. Returns to the battlefield under its owner's control at the end of the turn. Yeah, it might not seem very good. I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, but it has very good synergy with my deck. And red is the color randomness, really catches people off guard. So firstly is lands. I have 22 basic mountains in this deck. Cavern of Souls, usually naming Goblin. Goblin is a very useful creature type creature type in my deck. I have very many utility goblins, and having them not be able to be countered is very useful. Thespian Stage copies my utility land, their utility land. It's a very good card in general. Doesn't come into play taps, unlike Fusuba. That's why I'm running it over it. Great Furnace, it's an artifact land. There is some merit to running this over a basic mountain. Namely, I can sacrifice this to Trading Post or any other card that requires me to sacrifice artifacts to recur other stuff. Very good card. Helion Crucible makes a 4/4 red Helion creature if I have 2 pressure counters, which I can put on for 1 colorless and a red and tap it. Thinking about taking this card out, but still makes a creature and doesn't take up a land slot or actual slot as it's in the land. Kirkkeep, one of my favorite non-basic lands in this deck. Tap, add 1 mana to your mana pool. Colorless red tap, put a 0/1 red kobold creature into play. Creates an endless stream of blockers if you need to. Very useful with effects such as confusion of the ranks creates creatures for me to sacrifice. Very useful card. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle comes to play taps. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains, you may have Valakut deal 3 damage to target creature or player, and tap at 1 red mana to your mana pool. Turns your 6th mountain and each mountain after that into lightning bolts. Very useful card. Not as strong as it was in standard, but still very useful. Evolving Wilds, this needs some explanation because why would you run Evolving Wilds in a mono red deck, right? But actually, combos pretty well with Valakut because you can turn into instant speed lightning bolt. Well, normally your mountains are in sorcery speed, but still, instant speed lightning bolt is pretty good. Can't be countered too. Fixes my top shuffles, thins my deck. It's a very minor effect, but still very useful. Haunted Fengraf, tap 1 mana to your mana pool, 3 tap sacrifice it, return a creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Basically, I don't have many ways to recur creatures, so this gives me a way to have a chance of recurring something I need. If not, well, it's just a land. Can't ask for too much out of a basic land. Buried Ruin, another useful utility land. 2 mana, sacrifice it, return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand. I have many useful artifacts in this deck, many of which are really hated out and destroyed, so this gives me a second chance at it. Tectonic Edge, Strip Mine, and Wasteland are my 3 land destructions in my land slots. They do similar things. Strip Mine is by far the best. Tectonic Edge is slightly worse because it requires you to have 1 mana and tap this, as well as only works on non-basic lands if they have 4 or more lands, as opposed to Strip Mine, which is just destroy target land, and Wasteland, which is destroy target non-basic land. For artifacts, I have Everflowing Chalice as a mana rock. It's very useful. Sensei's Divining Top, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order for 1, and tap, draw a card, put it on top of the library, and yeah. It's very useful. Awesome EDH. Should be in every single one, but I only have 1, so. Soul Ring, what can you say? Soul Ring goes into almost every single EDH deck. Skull Clamp, so this is a 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/-1. And when the creature dies, you draw 2 cards. Useful with Norin if I need to draw cards. Unfortunately, fortunately Norin's a 2/1, so dies automatically to this. Also, I can sacrifice my 1/1 goblins tokens that I sometimes make, or the mirror tokens from some other cards that I'll show later on. Springleaf Drum, 1 mana, creates 1 red usually with Norin, because you have Norin, and yeah. Genesis Chamber. This is whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield. If Genesis Chamber is untapped, that creature's controller puts a 1/1 mirrored artifact creature onto the battlefield. So this goes extremely well with Norin, because Norin jumps in and out almost every single turn. So in 1 turn cycle, I usually get 3 to 4 mirrors depending on number of players playing. It helps my opponent as well, but usually with Norin, I get more value out of it. Lightning Grease, not as good as in other decks, but still very useful for my larger creatures later on, such as Wormcoil, Infernal Titan. Good card in general. Underworn Shaku, this is 3 mana for artifact. Tap, adds 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. And then tap an untapped legendary creature you control, untapped legendary permanent you control, and untap Underworn Shaku. So this goes very well with Norin, because every single time it re-enters the battlefield, it comes to play untapped, so I get 1 free mana for each opponent's turn, basically. So it's 3 mana for a Soul Ring, almost, but it can generate more mana if needed. Sculpting Steel, very useful artifact because copies their useful artifacts, copies my useful artifacts, can kill some commanders if needed, some artifact legendary commanders. Yeah, very good card. Oblivion Stone, so this is 4 mana tap, put a fate counter on target permanent, and 5 mana tap, sacrifice Oblivion Stone, destroy each non-land permanent without a fate counter on it, then remove all fate counters from all permanents. So red doesn't have that many field wipes, so this is one of the few I have in my deck, and it's recurable with the number of artifacts recursion that I have. Mimic Vat, Mimic Vat is Mimic Vat. I'm thinking about taking it out because it's getting hated out, and the effect isn't that great, considering I don't have many ways to kill opponent's creatures. But still, sometimes when it works, it does it really well. Teferi's Puzzle Box is more of an annoying card, a card to annoy other people than an actual good card. But basically what it does is, at the beginning of your turn, after you draw, because the draw step comes before, the draw trigger comes before everything else, you draw a card, then you count the number of cards in your hand, you put them on the bottom, and then you draw that many cards. So you get something new every single turn. And it really messes up people's hand sculpting, such as with tutor effects, bounce effects, really strong in general. Trading Post, love this artifact. It does everything I want it to do. Discard a card, gain 4 life. Sometimes it comes up, but mostly it's for the next 3 abilities. 1 mana tap, pay 1 life, put a 0/1 goat. Well, this creates blockers, which is very useful, but you can also use it for the next ability, which is sacrifice a creature, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. So this recurs all of my artifacts, such as Oblivion Stone, Soul Ring if it gets destroyed, Genesis Chamber if it gets destroyed, Sculpting Steel, some other creatures, some other artifacts to come. Very useful card. And lastly, 1 mana tap, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. Still a very useful card. And yeah. Helm of Possession, very useful artifact. It's mind control, because it's basically 2 mana tap, sacrifice a creature, gain control of target creature as long as this is tapped, and basically you cannot untap it during your untap phase. It's a very useful card. Takes other people's commanders. I've taken Avacyn with this once. It was a very good feeling. They couldn't destroy Helm of Possession, so Avacyn was mine forever. Yeah. Memory Jar, you sacrifice 5 mana for artifact Memory Jar. Tap, sacrifice it. Each player sets his or her hand aside, face down, and then you draw 7 cards. At the end of the turn, each player discards his or her hand, and then returns the original hand to his hand. So I usually use this during my turn to get a full grip of 7 cards, cast whatever I need, and then my opponents don't usually get any value out of this whatsoever. But yeah, very strong. Mind's Eye, this card is bonkers with Honor 1 Shaku, because what it does is every single turn I have Norin. So Norin allows me to untap this every single turn for 1 red mana or 1 colorless mana, and this allows me to draw cards. So I basically draw every single time, every single opponent's draw step. It's very strong. Conjurer's Closet, usually to bounce my opponent's or my own utility creatures, which you'll see later on. This is at the end of your end step. You may exile target creature you control and return to the battlefield immediately. So it gets more enter the battlefield effects. Gauntlet of Power and Cage Sun as my 2 accelerants, I guess, or to generate a lot of mana. The only difference between these two is that Gauntlet of Power is 5 mana, Cage Sun is 6 mana, and this benefits all of my opponents as well as my own, but this only benefits me. So what they both do is, when it comes into play, choose a color. And creatures of the chosen color, or my creatures, get +1/+1 depending on which one. And whenever a basic land, this is whenever a basic land is tapped for mana, you add another mana of the chosen color to the mana pool. And this one is whenever a land is tapped for mana, you add the same color to mana pool. So yeah, pretty good card. Named red, double my mana, pretty strong. Staff of Nin, I like this as another card draw or repeated card draw effect. Card advantage is always good, and in the EDH this is strong because it destroys many pesky 0 or 1 mana, 1 toughness creatures. So next is the creatures. Goblin Molder at 1 mana. This is a very complicated new wording for this, but the old wording basically just says choose target player, choose an artifact that he or she controls and an artifact in his or her graveyard, and then exchange them. Yeah, usually for my artifacts, I can get constant card draw with Solemn Simulacrum, and get back some useful artifacts. I can even get like a turn 2 Staff of Nin or Worm Coil out. It's pretty useful. Iron Mirror, 2 mana for 1/1, adds 1 mana to your mana pool. Very useful. Sting Scourger, 2 mana for 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, return a creature opponent controls to its owner's hand. As you can see. Basically, I didn't know this existed at all. Like, I didn't know red had bounce effects, but apparently it does, and it's very useful. It has an echo cost, but it's okay. Usually it's a one-time thing anyways. It's unsummon. Goblin Recruiter looks for any number of goblin cards and puts them on top of my library. Usually I get 1 goblin card at 1 and Goblin Matron, so I can get 2 goblin cards without having to slow down my draws very much. And this is useful to be sacked to Skull Clamp to draw cards. Very useful. Mogwai Marshal, mainly for blockers, jump blockers, and no matter what, I get 2 goblins out of this. If not 3, if I pay the echo cost. Minor card advantage. Tuck Duck the Explorer, not so great in most decks, but usually it's to draw attention away from me so people don't attack me, because they don't like to deal with a 5/5 colorless golem artifact creature on turn 4. Magus of the Moon, love this card. You know, there's always some people who have a really expensive mana base. They have like all the ABU dual lands, and they have like these ancient tombs or like, I have wastelands too, but that's not the point. The point is they have this really elaborate mana base that costs them like thousands of dollars, and it's ruined by a single Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon. Very awesome card. Draws me a lot of hate, but still, it's worth it. Goblin Matron looks for a goblin card, 3 mana 1/1, puts it in the hand. Very good. Squee, Goblin Mabob, never dies. Squee never dies. Unless you exile him, but of course. 3 mana for 1. If it's in the graveyard at the beginning of your upkeep, you return it to your owner's hand. And it's very good with the following loot effects, because you just discard it and basically turns these into draw effects every single turn. Yep. Yeah, looting, very useful. This is Goblin, this is Haste, very good. Solemn looks for a basic mountain. Very strong. Card advantage. When it dies, draw a card. Very strong. Artifact as well, so I can recur him. Mog Catcher, 3 mana tap. Search library for a goblin card and put it onto the battlefield. Format for 2/2 is sort of weak, but if it can survive one turn, I usually get something very strong that they have to deal with instead, so I can keep playing more goblins, and yeah, basically, very strong card. Beetleback Chief, format for 2/2, 1 ATVs, put 2 1/1 goblins. Mostly skull climb fodder, block fodder. I can overrun people with goblins in the late game if I need to. Works very well with another card later on, Goblin Assassin, which I'll show you later. Yeah. Krenko, something similar, except for makes a lot more goblins if needed. Anger, gives myself haste if it's in the graveyard, very useful, good for looting effects, such as Faithless Looting, the Goblin, Emerging Goblin, and Mad Prophet. Very strong card. Also, makes people not want to attack me either. Avalanche Riders, so sick. Enters the battlefield to destroy target land. Usually hits a utility land, but sometimes can hit someone's mana base, so they can't their symbol for like 3 or 4 turns. Yeah. I usually don't pay the echo cost, but still a good card. Has haste too, so. Tuk Tuk Scrapper enters the battlefield to destroy target artifact. Deals 1 damage most of the time because I only have 1 ally in the entire deck. But still, format for 2/2, kills the artifact, very strong. Flying Tom Kavu, also a very good card. Enters the battlefield, deals 4 damage to target creature. The definition of card advantage a while back, but still a very good card. Mind Claw Shaman enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You may cast an instant or sorcery without paying its mana cost. Very good card. Very good card. You can look at their hands, you can get something really big. I've seen someone play this card and enter the infinite. They lost 2 turns afterwards, but still, it's a very good feeling. Goblin Assassin, so this is whenever it or another goblin enters the battlefield, each player flips a coin, so this gets into the flip coin aspect of Norin. It's a very random deck. Each player whose coin comes up tails sacrifices a creature. So basically, if I have it with like Krenko or Beetleback Chief, people start flipping coins. It's very annoying, but very fun. Outrage Shaman enters the battlefield, deals damage to target creature equal to the number of red mana symbols and mana cost of permanents you control, so usually does 2 damage if I have it by itself, but still can do a lot more. Malignus, it's kinda weird, but I like this card. Usually there's someone who has lots of life, and I just attack everybody else and attack the guy who has the most life last. It's a very annoying card, actually. Zealous Conscripts, grab something, grabs a permanent, ultimate Tamio, maybe. Very useful card. Inferno Titan, I don't like this card as much as I used to. Doesn't do as much as compared to other Titans, but I am playing mono red, so it can't do much. 6 mana for 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, you do Arc Lightning, basically. 1 mana, +1/+0. Yeah, Fire Breathe. It's not as great, but still. Duplicate enters the battlefield, exile target creature, so permanent exile, not like when it leaves the battlefield, return it. It's gone forever. And it copies the power, toughness, and creature type. Recurable with Goblin Welder, so I can deal with something every 2 turns, or the Trading Post as well. Very good card. Wormcoil Engine, the last artifact creature in this deck. 6 mana for 6/6. I need lifelink in this deck. I don't have many ways to gain life. Death Touch, very useful. When it dies, it doesn't even just die. It spawns 2 more things before it's actually dead. Very good card.